Okay, so yesterday we learned how to add and subtract polynomials, and today we're going to learn how to do what? Multiply polynomials. The reason that you need your exponent rules, and y'all remember Kaden asking me yesterday, do we use our exponent rules? When do we use them? When you're multiplying or dividing. So today you need your exponent rules. So what you need to write right here where it says product of powers, if you have the same base, you keep your base, and y'all already know this. What do you do to your exponents? I hear one person. You add them and add the exponents. And we already learned this. So if I have x to the 5th power times x to the 3rd power, the bases are both x. So I would keep my base and my exponent would become 8. And I want to look at the board and so that you guys remember. If I have x, what did I put? X to the 5th times x to the 3rd, then that's 5 x's with 3 more. So how many x's do I have? 8. So my base stays x and my exponent becomes 8. You could sit here and draw that out every single time, but that's ridiculous. You just learn the rule. If the bases are the same and I'm multiplying, I simply add my exponents. Now yesterday it was different because we had like 2x to the 3rd plus 3x to the 3rd. You're not adding exponents. Now you're talking about the bases. Does everybody understand? It's like 2 cats plus 3 cats equals 5 cats. So 5x to the 3rd. Totally different multiplication and addition. Are y'all good? Okay. All right, look at example 1. Who can tell me what's going on? Distributive property. Very good. Anytime you've got parentheses and something on the outside, you have to distribute. So this x is going to get multiplied by the 5x, and this x is going to get multiplied by the x squared. So let's think about it. This base is 5, so what's my base going to stay? Because 5 times 1 is 5. But what is x times x? X squared. So what did I really do with those exponents? Because this had an exponent of 1 and this one had an exponent of 1. Make sense? And I just added those together to get x to the 2nd power. Okay, now I have to do 1x times x squared. Well, 1 times 1 is 1, so that can stay 1. But what is x times x squared? X cubed, x to the 3rd power. What do y'all think about this? I think it's easy. Now, the next step would be if you can combine any like terms, then you would do that. But are any of these terms alike? No. So that's my final answer. Okay, let's go to the next example. I am going to distribute this with this first term and with this second term. Now, in order for you to do this successfully, you have to remember your rules of negatives. A negative times a positive is a, and a negative times a negative is a, okay. So if I have a negative times a positive, then what do I need to write? A negative sign. Some of you are daydreaming. Okay, what is 2 times 2? 4. Is there anything to multiply the x with? So I just bring my x down. X times 1 basically is x. But I need to multiply y times y. Y squared. And I'm going to show you why this happens. So everybody look, if I had written this the long way, I would have negative 2 times x times y times 2 times y. See what I just did? I wrote that times this. So I have this times this, which is negative 4. Then I have times x by itself times y times y. So I have negative 4x, and how many y's did I have? So y squared. Do y'all see how this works? You could write it the long way if you need to see it, but that's going to take forever. Okay? Now I need to do this times this. Well, what is a negative times a positive? So this plus sign isn't going to be a plus sign anymore. It's going to be a minus sign. Or could I write plus negative? Yes. Okay, so 2 times 4 is? Well, I already wrote my minus sign. Okay, so 8. And x times x squared is x cubed. And what is still there? Y. Okay, can I combine these? No, because these are not the same type of term. So that's my answer. So if it told you to put it from least to greatest or greatest to least, you would. This is actually ordered from least to greatest based on the term of x. But I would just leave it left to right now. Unless it says, good question. Do y'all want to try the next one on your own? Okay, try it. If you get confused, just think of one step at a time. And if you need to write it the long way, you can. Yeah. I'm not Superman. I do not have great vision. All right, so I got to multiply this times this times this term, and this times this term. I'm going to do one thing at a time. Okay? Negative 2 times positive something is going to be a negative. So what's in front of this g? What's negative 2 times 1? So that's why that negative sign is there. What is g to the first power times g to the second power? G to the third cubed. Okay, now why did he just say plus? A negative times a negative is going to turn into a plus sign. And 2 times 2 is 4. And g times g is g squared. Okay, my last term, negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4, and I have to keep my 1g. There's nothing I can combine, so I'm done there. You want to try the next one on your own? One term at a time.
If you've already finished and you want to go on to the next one, you can. But just make sure once I do it, you check and make sure you did it right. Okay, let's check it. 3 times 1 is 3, and what's x times x to the 4th? Because I have a 1 right here, so x to the 5th. Did everybody get the first term correct? Perfect. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3, and make sure you bring that sign down. Okay, and x to the 1st times x to the 3rd is x to the 4th. Bring my next sign down. 3 times 1 is 3. And x to the 1st times x to the 2nd is x to the 3rd. I cannot combine anything because their exponents are different now. How'd y'all do? Good? Perfect. Okay, if you've started this one, that's great. If you haven't, just do it with me. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and there's nothing that can be combined together, so you could write yx, but the correct way to write it is alphabetically. So you would put xy. It's just the correct way to write stuff in math. It's supposed to be in alphabetical order. But if you put yx, it means the same thing. Okay? Now I'm going to do 3 times negative 6. So am I going to have a plus sign or a minus sign? Minus 3 times 6 is 18. Can I combine the y with the x? Nope, so I just stick them next to each other. The x gets written first, then the y. Now the last one, 3 times negative 2, negative 6. And y times y is y squared. Now, if you guys are having an issue with the negatives, you can, if you want to look at it differently, what you could do is you could have gone change, 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 change. It's the same thing, but a lot of people need to see it that way. But I would have written it negative 12xy plus negative 18x cubed y plus negative 6y squared. It's the same thing, but you would just have a plus negative. Okay? It's just another way to do it. All right, here we go on this one. Do you see your terms? So I'm going to do this one times the first term, then times the second term, times the third term. If you'd like to do it by yourself, y'all want to try it? Yeah. Go. Let's just check your first term. 2 times 3 is 6. And this has a 1 and this has a 1. X squared times x to the first? X cubed. Y to the third times y to the first? Y to the power of 4. Did everybody get their first term correct? What sign's going to go now? A plus sign. Now do your second term. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and then x squared times 1 basically is just x squared. And then y to the third times y to the first is y to the fourth. Okay, and then my last term, 2 times 5 is 10. X squared times x is x cubed, and then just write y cubed. It's really easy if you just take it one term at a time. If you look at it as a whole, it looks overwhelming. Okay, the next one. So basically, I wouldn't even look at this right now. I would only look at this, and then I would deal with that. Okay, so I'm going to do 4n times the first term, the second term, and the third term in the parentheses. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. N to the first power times n to the second power, n cubed. Okay, 4n to the first times n to the first, plus 4n squared. And what's 4 times negative 4? Minus 16n. So I just dealt with this. Now I'm going to go deal with this. So I don't even need to look at this anymore. I'm just going to look at this. Okay, negative n times positive 3. Minus 3n. Negative n times negative n. Positive n squared. Now I can combine like terms. If you need to, and y'all even saw on my answer key from last night, because my brain gets discombobulated, look what I did on these. I highlighted the like terms because it helps me to see them. Any strategy that will help you. N to the third, is there anything to combine it with?
No.
But n squared can be combined with n squared, and regular n can be combined with regular n. Now this is where you would write it from greatest to least or least to greatest. What's the biggest exponent? Yeah, this one, so it would go first. What's the next one that would go? The squared. What's 4 plus 1? So plus 5n squared. Now I have negative 16 minus 3. Negative, yeah, put in your calculator if y'all don't know your integer rules. Negative 16 minus 3 is really negative 16 plus negative 3, which is minus 19n. Let's do one more up top and then a few at the bottom. Let's do this one. Take it one step. Don't even look at this part. Only look at this part first. Check your first part. Make sure you got this. I haven't even looked at that yet. Did everybody get that so far? Okay, now I'm not going to look at this, and I'm going to look at this. Yeah, thank you, because I was hurting my head. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to use highlighters just because it makes my life easier. If you don't need to, you don't need to. I got b cubed can go with b cubed. But I got to make sure if I'm highlighting that the sign in front of it goes with it. Okay, and then I've got b squared goes with b squared. And then regular b goes with regular b. It's going to be a trinomial because there's 3 colors. All right? So 2 minus 9 is negative 7b cubed. Why did I write that one first? Because it's the biggest exponent. Which one would I write next, pink or green? Pink. What's 8 minus 27? Yep, minus 19b squared. And what's 16 plus 54? 70. So it is a trinomial. Do y'all see how easy it is if you do one step at a time? And I like to color coordinate it. That way I don't forget anything. Okay, can we skip this one? Okay, go to the bottom. These are solving equations. Now let me stop y'all. Should you ever miss an equation? Why? Because your calculator will solve the whole thing for you, right? You can literally put this in y1 and put this in y2 and it will solve it for you. But we're going to solve them by hand on our homework and then check them in our calculator, because if you can't solve them by hand, then I'm not helping y'all get ready for geometry and algebra 2. Okay? All right, so let's solve them by hand. Real quick, let's put a 5 right here. That way we have to do distributive property. Pretend that 5 was already there. Okay, what would I do? Distributive property, 5 times 2x and 5 times minus 1. So that's 10x minus 5 plus 3 equals, I got to do distributive property. 3 times 3 is 9x, and 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to combine like terms, so these can be combined. So 10x, what's negative 5 plus 3? Minus 2. When you solve an equation, what's your job? Get all the variables on the left, all the other numbers on the right. So this 9x needs to move over here. How would I move positive 9x? Minus 9x. Can I go ahead and move this minus 2? How would you move minus 2? Plus 2. So 10 minus 9 is, which is just x. And 6 plus 2 is 8. Now let's go over how to do it in your calculator. Some people do because they're still missing them. Go to y equals. Clear everything out. Literally type it in exactly how you see it. So you would type 5, open parentheses, 2x minus 1, close parentheses, plus 3. Then tab down to y2 and put in the right side. 3, open parentheses, 3x plus 2. Go to second trace, option 5, wait for it to graph. Remember that if you can't see the intersection, it might give you an error. You can try enter, enter, enter. It didn't give me an error, it gave me the answer. If you get an error, you just need to zoom out. So my answer was x equals 8. Is that what I got? So you should never miss an equation. Pick one more for us to do, and then we're going to be done. You want to do this one since it's like the longest?
No, the one beside.
This one? All right, do this one. By hand. Check your first step with mine. Yeah. There we go. If y'all put 4, you're wrong. It's a proper fraction, so it's going to be a number less than 1. You could have put it as a decimal and gotten negative 0.25. Okay, I'll pass out the assignment. And I believe we're going to do